It's time for Twist, the week in sports talk with your hosts Mike Reeves, Matt Fadden, and Greg Green Bay Bauman. Coming live from the Minuteman Press studio, here's your hosts.
What up? It's an icy one out there. Woo!
Slippery.
Got episode 4 going today. So again, like last week, you can find us on Facebook, searching for The Week in Sports Talk, on Twitter at Twist Sports Talk, and on YouTube at Twist The Week in Sports Talk. So how you guys doing today? You
Look
cold?
for the logo.
Look for the logo.
Look for the logo. I'm doing all right. I did have to work this morning, and those roads were crazy. They're thawing out now, though, so if you do have to travel today, stay safe.
Yeah, roads are bad, but I'm sorry. I just want to get into the whole border battle.
So we do have a fun giveaway. I posted it on our page yesterday. We linked up with Fan HQ. They're in the Ridgedale Mall in Edina, and we're going to be giving away a Luis Arraez signed baseball. So I'll say it a few times throughout the show. You're going to want to text TWIST to 94253. So you have all week to text TWIST to 94253 for your chance to win. What we'll do next week, next Saturday, live during the show, we're going to call our winner, and then they'll be able to pick up either at the store or if they live out of state, if Greg's dad wins, they'll ship it to him. So again, a signed Luis Arraez baseball. So that's pretty exciting. We're excited about that partnership.
All right, guys. So I do have headlines for the week. Here we go. My first headline is going to be that AP named Kawhi Leonard the 2019 Male Athlete of the Year. Kawhi Leonard is comfortably winning a vote by AP member sports editors and AP beat writers. He becomes the 5th NBA player to win the award, joining Larry Bird, 3-time recipient Michael Jordan, 3-time recipient LeBron James, and Steph Curry. Yeah. So the Claw takes home another trophy. The second headline I have is Kirk Ciarrocca named Penn State offensive coordinator. That's a tough hit. He is already with Penn State now. This is a quote from him. He said, "I couldn't be more excited about the opportunity to work at a program as rich in tradition as Penn State University." Ciarrocca said also, "It is an honor and a privilege to join Coach Franklin's staff and to work alongside such a successful head coach. Having grown up a Penn State fan, I am humbled by the opportunity to serve as your offensive coordinator." So you can definitely see why he chose that. It is definitely because that is his home. Go ahead, Greg.
I was just going to say the thing to let people know who might not be familiar with the name is he left Minnesota with the same position.
Yeah.
So he didn't go from like a tight ends coach to an offensive coordinator. He left to go to another team in the same
lateral
conference,
position.
a very lateral position. So
Yep.
so to your point, it had to do with the passion of whose childhood team was.
Yeah, exactly. And he also said, "My family and I are overjoyed to be coming home to Happy Valley." So obviously that played a big role in it. I think if I were ever offered something from my home, obviously I'd want to go back there. So congratulations to him. For interim now, we have our wide receiver coach, Matt Simon, who will be calling the plays. He has been with PJ for the last 7 years, and people that have met Simon say that he's like a mini PJ Fleck.
He played for him, right?
Yep, he did.
And he's from here.
Yep.
He's a homer. We like our guys.
We like a homer, but also that enthusiasm that seems to work out well. So,
well, good for him.
Good for him.
Roll the boat to Penn State, you punk.
Skyuma. There you go. Last headline that I have for you is Zion is expected to be back in about 2 to 3 weeks. A source within the organization told ESPN that before Williamson makes his on-court return, the team would like him to undergo at least 2 or 3 practices doing full work. I know everybody is excited. I'm excited to see him in the pros. I think that it will be a slow process, but I do understand why they're doing what they're doing. You know, he is their future franchise. They're taking it slow, and also they want to see if he can be durable. So that's what I got, guys.
Great. Yeah. With the Zion thing, Mike and I were talking about this a week or so ago. I don't think it's the worst idea to sit him out. You know, whether it's play him over the next month or so on a very limited schedule, not every game, or maybe, 20 minutes a game, whatever it is.
Sure.
Because you're in a position right now where you're not going to be good. You're not going to make the playoffs. So why not? I don't want to say tank because I hate that word. But keep in mind that the year that the San Antonio Spurs got Tim Duncan, it's because David Robinson was out with injury that whole year.
Sure.
So when they got Tim Duncan, they both were able to play at 100% in year one of Tim Duncan. So if you really limit Zion, you could get whoever that number 1, number 2 pick is and have him growing with Zion. So you kind of, like I said, I don't like the word tank, but you really don't have to push Zion to go from what might be an 18-win season to a 25-win season.
Well, now, too, also, you have the opportunity to do load management.
Yeah.
And it's a bummer for the fans, especially the ones that are going and paying for tickets, bringing their little kids, things like that, to see their superstar, and they're not playing tonight because of load management. So, I mean, that's a really thin line there on, is it load management or is it injury? His best bet would be to take as long as possible before coming back. Then they wouldn't have to worry about it.
Well, and that's, he's the most electrifying player since LeBron James. LeBron and I graduated same year of high school, 2003. And just watching him on ESPN, what are you laughing?
I'm laughing.
1983 or what?
I was going to say
2 years before I was born.
The year I moved to Minnesota. You were
The best part is,
what a great graduation present.
Yeah, and another awesome thing, since you brought up LeBron before we switch topics, is that me and Mike are actually going to see Little Bronny.
Junior.
Yeah.
Bronny.
We're going to go see him against Minnehaha Academy coming up in a couple weeks. So
stoked.
That's going to be awesome.
But what I was saying, I mean, Zion is just incredible. He was so fun to watch. And LeBron, there's no load management. There still isn't any load management. So for a number 1 player to come out as jacked up as people are to see him play, that weight's always been an issue for him.
Yeah.
And to see this and progress, and I do get the patience, he's an enigma. He's this player that, he's already 100 millionaire almost, and he hasn't even touched the court in the regular season. So I get it. I just want him out there. He's got to figure out the weight situation, because that play is electrifying, and I think he will be a dominant force, for a long time. So get it right. Let's go, Zion. All right, round 2. You ready?
What are we up?
All right, Greg. It's the moment you've been waiting for.
My whole life. All right. So I think what we're going to talk about just a little bit is the outcome of the Monday Night Football game from this previous week, where the Vikings played the Packers. I'll be honest with you. I was in Wisconsin.
Weird.
Yeah.
Imagine
Christmas. I got to watch the game with my dad, which is the first time I've watched a game with my dad in a very long time. And truth be told, my dad is he's been coaching high school football for about 45 years. He's in the Wisconsin State Football Coaches Hall of Fame. But watching the game with him was amazing, because every time either team did something, his response was exactly what we talk about from a very elementary level. I thought when you really, the Packers won. Great. But
Not me.
Okay, so the whole game came down to 2 plays, I think, and they were back-to-back plays. When the Vikings tried that double reverse pass, great idea. That had the Packers on their heels. But if you don't turn around and have another play on 4th and 4 lined up, and it can't be throw the ball over Thielen's head by 15 yards.
Horrible play call.
That was horrible. But if you complete that 4th down, the game turns, because the Packers are on their heels for the rest of the game. And I thought that the fact that they didn't know what they were doing, the Vikings didn't know what they were doing, didn't have a decent play lined up. I thought it was like the game set match. It was just a matter of time.
Well, the game plan for the Packers obviously was, we know you can't run.
Yes.
Your 2 top running backs are out.
Yeah.
We know you can't run, so we're going to shut down your tight ends and your 2 top receivers, and they did.
Mm-hmm.
Our offensive line couldn't hold them to save their lives. It was just horrible. Our defense just kept bringing us in it, and it was so painful to watch our offense not be able to get anything together. So I do give credit to Green Bay because they executed their game plan and they went after us.
And that's the big thing as well. If you look at our offensive line throughout the season, people were kind of glossing up that turd. They were like, oh, they're not as bad as they're, as we thought, this, and that. And it's like, no, they're still really young, and there are some glaring holes in that offensive line. So, unfortunately, me and Greg were kind of talking about this as well, is that as a Viking fan, the Vikings pay Kirk Cousins to beat the Pack. That's our big thing. And like Greg was saying, the 2 games that he's played the worst this season have both been against the Pack. And yes, the offensive line didn't help him out either, but at some point you just got to be able to take over, so that's a bummer. There's things to work on. We're still going to the playoffs. What will they do in the playoffs?
A lot of that, it's easy to say a lot of that depends on who they play, where they play, but does it really matter?
No.
I mean, you either, and I'll just say it, the Packers could end up with a 1 or 2 seed,
sure.
But I think that they're right now the 3rd best team. I think that whoever wins the West and the Saints are better than the Packers. But
agreed.
The Packers have one thing that these other teams don't have going into the playoffs. No one else would have to play at Lambeau. And that is, we're out. I mean, you guys drove here today. It very well could be like that, even colder in next week. It's a horrible place to play. I've gone to plenty of playoff games against the Vikings in Lambeau. It's a horrible place to play if you're not comfortable with it. So I think it evens out. It makes the Packers that much more dangerous.
Yeah, I thought I got some stats here. So Cousins entered Week 16 with the league-leading passer rating of 131 on passes 20-plus yards, so the air yards. Rodgers was ranked 2nd, so right behind him, 122.7. Neither quarterback, however, excelled on 10 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, according to Next Gen Stats.
Ooh, the good ones.
Cousins was 2 for 8, 25% for 49 yards with a touchdown and a pick. That created a passer rating of a whopping 52.6. Rodgers was even worse at those distances, going 2 for 11 at 18.2% for 31 yards and a pick. Oh. So it's crazy. The Vikings had 7 first downs all game compared to Green Bay's 22. We had 1 running first down.
Yeah.
Like I told Greg, they're not going to run on us. It was ridiculous. Mike Boone, couple flashy touchdowns the week before. He's still Mike Boone. Total plays, 53 to Green Bay's 75. Total yards, 139 to 383. And time of possession is always key at 22-28 to 37-32. Cousins' stats were putrid.
Yes.
16 to 31, 122 yards, a pick and a touchdown. Mike Boone, 11 carries, 28 yards. Diggs, 3 catches, 57 yards, and a touchdown. It was basically that 1 3rd and 5 for the touchdown. Otherwise, he was,
Yeah, for Kirk, I mean, that's basically a Trubisky stat line.
And you look at Green Bay, I mean, they excelled. Jones, 23 carries. There's some stat. It's if he gets over 15 carries a game, they're 7-1 or some ungodly number. 23 carries for 154 and 2 touchdowns. Adams had 13 catches for 116 yards. And Rodgers was, again, kind of how Rodgers has been all year. Very basic, 216 yards and a pick. So it's just
last week when we were talking about this game, what we thought would happen, I was the one who said if the Vikings win the game, it's going to be little dump-off passes, 10, 15-yard plays, and if the Packers win, it's going to be on the long plays. It was the exact opposite.
It was.
My dad mentioned this to me at one point. He goes, Rodgers isn't even looking down the field. He's either looking to Adams on a 3-yard slant or he's just dumping the ball off to Jones. He didn't even care about Valdez-Scantling or any of these other guys down the field. Yeah. They were just matriculating the ball one play at a time down the field for 6-7 yards.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Oh,
But it was right.
enough of it. Hook the listeners up with that giveaway. Let's.
All
keep
right,
that
I'm out
going.
of here. I talk.
Yeah, Greg's time is done. So for the listeners that are on now and for who are going to watch later, we touched on it. We linked up with Fan HQ. They're in Eden Prairie and Edina at the Ridgedale Mall. We're doing a signed Luis Arraez baseball. So if you text TWIST to 94253, that's TWIST to 94253, you'll be entered in a chance to win the game.
Just think about that. The dude was almost the rookie of the year this year. Came up, killed it, and now you got an opportunity to win a signed baseball from Fan HQ through Twist Podcast because we're elite.
The nice thing is, if we get a bunch of text and this program goes good, this is going to be a consistent thing. So make sure to do it so then new prizes will be probably every other week. So that will be awesome.
Yes.
So we had a fantasy that we did a few weeks ago between the three of us. It was a quarterback, couple running backs, couple receivers, tight end, flex. Basically, the rules were if you draft a guy, he gets hurt, you get the guy under.
His backup.
His backup. In Ben's case, we had two receivers on the same team. Both went down. He got the first backup. I got the second.
Oh.
Yep, he is. Killed it.
I think one of these times,
Killed it.
One of these leagues, one of these seasons, whether it's fantasy basketball, football, this right here, Twist Football League, I think once I might win.
No.
We also played in another one for money, and
Straight cash, homie.
straight cash. Won that one too, baby.
I
won that one too.
I thought it was funny that I was playing in the third place game to get my money back, and as the Viking-Packer game was going on, I completely forgot that game was. I forgot to look at the website because I was so in depth into the Packer game, which is really all that matters. You guys can have your paper championships.
Oh, here we go. Paper championship.
Time for the NFL Pick'em. I was leading on top weird last week, but I don't want to get too cocky. Greg's got the new updated scores and new games that we're going to be picking.
Perfect. Let's hear it, Greg.
All right, so after week 16, so including last week's games, we have Mike in the lead with 13 wins, Matt closely behind with 12.
Oh, one behind. He's creeping.
So, yeah, I'm at 8, but the most important element of this is last week, if you tuned in, we had a special guest picker, and he got one right.
Stick to law, Daly. Stick to law.
And in fact, the only one he got right was the one that we all picked together. So we'll go into this week's games. It was a little more difficult this week to pick to find games to pick because most teams really don't have anything to play for. Yeah. So I picked two games. I picked the Packers game, the Vikings game, and I picked two games where at least one of the teams has something to play for. So the first.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
I just find it funny that Mike keeps doing that because we won on Monday.
Whatever.
Hard
Let's hear them.
All right, here we go. First game, Saints against the Panthers. The Saints are 13-point favorites.
Oh.
Saints have very little to play for. They got the 2 seed versus the 3 seed, but do you really risk injury with that? What do the Panthers have to play for? Matt, let's start off with you.
Okay, so it's at Carolina.
At Carolina, 13-point dogs.
Let's see here.
See, hey, Greg. Hey, Jake. Hey, Mama Benz, TJ. Taylor, Hannah. Hey, Deb. Deb's a big Viking fan. Huge Rube.
You see my Aunt Jody there?
Yeah.
Matt
Oh, hey,
is
Jody.
always the champ.
Yeah, in your heart.
Appreciate
but
you.
in real life.
All right, so for my pick, I'm going to go with Carolina with the W, at least to cover the spread. I don't think the Saints will win by that much. So,
Am I wrong, or was Teddy Two Gloves undefeated?
I think he's 5-1.
So
He might have been though.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Saints.
I got to make up a game here.
You
remember?
do. One game. Hopefully it's not that one. That's
I'm
a
gonna
big
go with the
spread.
Panthers too.
Oh,
I think 13. I think 13 points is too many. All right, next game: Titans at the Texans. Titans are still fighting to get in the playoffs. The Texans are pretty much locked in where they're at, and we have the Texans as a 3.5-point favorite.
Ugh.
And did you guys
Yeah.
hear who practiced this week? Who's back on the practice field for the Texans?
Oh God, Watt.
Justin James Watt.
Oh, there you go.
JJ.
Tell him to watch our podcast, and I'll start to become a fan.
I did send him a link.
All right, good. So go ahead, Mike. You start with this one. So you said Texans by 3.5?
Yep. Man, Houston's just so hit or miss. They could just blow Tennessee out, but this is such a big game, and Tannehill's been on point. I'm going Houston. We'll go Houston. Deshaun.
Well, that's the thing. Is Deshaun starting or is it A.J. McCarron starting?
They haven't said that yet.
They haven't said it. Oof, that's a tough
Well,
one.
I haven't seen anything.
I'll rock the Titans with Tannehill just because that Houston secondary is trash. So
They weren't against the Bucks.
that's all right. Consistency.
I'm going to go with the Titans, too, just because I think that Henry's coming back, and I think that they need this game. I think that what they're going to try to do is go up by like 10, 13 points and then just hold on the ball. Tannehill and Henry.
That's going to be the game you guys get a point, I think.
Then bring in Deion.
Pissed I had to go first on that one.
Give Deion Lewis 28 reps for 50 yards.
Derrick Henry's playing.
Yeah, but at the end.
All right, next game.
Sure.
Bears versus Vikings.
Yeah.
Vikings, 3-point favorites.
Ugh.
Vikings have nothing to play for. The Bears have even less to play for. The Vikings at least have to play, to keep you guys,
Yeah.
in shape for the following week.
Oh,
But they're locked into the 6th seed. I will start off this one. I'm going to go with the Bears. Excuse me.
yeah.
I'll take the 3 points. Go with the Bears. Matthew?
I'll take the Vikes on this one. I think some non-starters are going to step up and try to get a spot. So, unlike Boone, but yeah, whatever.
Michael?
I'm not going to say the team I'm going to pick. I'm just going to say I'll go with Greg.
Oh,
Wow.
that's disgusting.
Wow. Mike, I'm just writing this down. Mike Reeves taking the Bears.
All right.
Next game.
I got to get a point back on this guy. I don't think
Yeah.
if our backups are all going, I think everybody for the Bears will probably be starting.
Yeah, they're
So
playing
it'll
for
be
their
an even
jobs.
match.
Yeah, they're playing for their
So
jobs.
it'll be an even match.
Next game, Packers at the Lions. The Packers are 12.5-point favorites, which, if you do the math, that means that the Lions are 12.5-point underdogs.
That's at the litter box, yeah?
That is
correct.
Ugh.
that is at the Kitty Factory. Yes, Matthew.
I'll go.
The Packers still have something to play for.
Yeah, I'll go with the Pack to cover by 12.5.
12.5. It's an interesting number.
My God, sure. Go ahead.
Michael.
Pack. Because we know he's going Pack, and that makes it a draw.
I am going with the Lions.
Is correct.
What?
Are you really?
I'm going 12.5 points. Packers don't win games by more than one score.
What'd they beat us by?
I like this. We're going to burn him on his own team.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I need the
I
point.
love it.
Last game is the best game of the schedule. 49ers at Seahawks. I had to look at 3 different websites to find an accurate line on this because everyone was going no line because both teams are playing like their third string running backs, but they both need this game. It's the difference between being probably the number 1 seed versus the 5 seed.
Huge game.
So it's even?
Right? No, it's the 49ers minus 3.5, Seahawks plus 3.5. It's
Beautiful.
at Seattle.
I'm going to go with the can color of the monster. I'm going with Seattle because Russ is better than Jimmy G, period. So
Badger.
God, Greg, you always got to ruin every moment. Some stupid Wisconsin. Yeah, I'm going with the Seahawks. So,
Craig?
I'm going to go 49ers.
Pew.
I'm going to go 49ers on this one.
Me too.
All right.
You're gonna have
This is
an
a jumbo. Either I'm
opportunity.
going to rise or I'm going to fall.
It's gonna be fun.
Beautiful.
What is this, a violin?
Oh, that's electric guitar. Let's go. Let's go.
Good looking hoodie, Sean says.
Oh, yeah. Appreciate you, bud. Shout out to TJ Coivisto for this butte right here. Good guy. Good guy. Good supporter.
That is a beaut.
It is a beaut.
He is a good supporter, Sharon. So thanks for all the love.
And for the guys that are watching and ladies that are watching right now, share this. Share this live. Get them views up.
Share it live
Share
now.
it. Yep. So I'm doing the State of the Wild right now. All right. So we currently are 19-15 after last night's win over the Avalanche. We did win 6-4 last night. So in our last 10 games, we are 5-4-1. A lot of our guys right now are banged up. We got Jason Zucker, who is out 4 to 6 weeks recovering from a fractured fibula. Ouch. And then we've had Miku Koivu, who's been out with a lower body injury since December 3rd. Both of those guys really are the veterans and kind of carry the team, so that hurts, but we're still staying strong. After the dismal start to the season, the Minnesota Wild have scored a league-high number of goals, 90 since November 5th, and have recorded a league-high number of points, 30 since November 14th. So, I mean, at the beginning of the year, we were literally burning garbage.
Yeah.
And now we're back in the hunt, which is good, especially with having so many people either coming back from injury or going out and having young guys play.
This is when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber.
Yeah.
You go and do something like this. And totally redeem yourself.
Woo!
Go! So with that, I like how I get the good sound bites. The cheesehead gets the crappy ones.
Scoreboard.
It's not your fault, Greg.
Scoreboard.
So upcoming matchups for the Wild include the Islanders, Maple Leafs, Jets, Flames. The Flames we actually play back-to-back, one here, one there. So that matchup and those teams will really show if we could kind of split those games, that would be huge, especially with the roster that we have right now. Other than that, just 6 goals last night. We put up 8 a couple nights ago. For them to be putting the puck in the net that much, that's huge because that's what we were struggling with early in the season, not being able to score goals. Goaltending has been shady, but hopefully Dubnyk can get his feet under. He did have a shutout a couple nights ago, so that's cool. Hopefully he can bounce back after his wife's health issues where he was gone for multiple weeks. So that's all I got on the State of the Wild. This is our ice. Boom.
Well, I'm a huge hockey guy with tons of knowledge.
Wrong.
So, rather than bore you with all the knowledge, I do have some just be prepared to be dazzled.
The numbers.
Basically. No, just some fun things.
Okay.
So, for instance, Marcus Foligno.
Foligno.
He once caught an 11-pound walleye.
Believe it.
Did you guys know that?
That's a big walleye.
That is
With
a
his
big
bare
walleye.
hands.
Charlie Coyle, he's not on the team anymore.
Not on the team
so
anymore.
these are old. Screw him. Parisi.
Zach C.
He's up there.
He's up here.
Funko. He ranks first among active American-born players in goals.
Yeah.
Ryan Suter, he owns 2 golden retrievers, a 9-year-old named Favre.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a 1-year-old named Hunter.
Yeah.
So
Ooh.
that's kind of cool. Jason Zucker, you talked about him. He's hurt.
Yeah.
Carly Zucker. Jason began his campaign in the 27-18 raise to funds for the Zucker Family Suite and Broadcast Studio at the University of Minnesota Masonic Children's Hospital. The hashtag Give16 campaign has raised over $1 million.
Yeah.
So if you listen on the radio ever, you'll hear about that. That's an awesome thing. Mikko Koivu ranks first on the Wild's all-time lists in games played, assists, points, shots on goal, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Let's find one more cool one. Nick Seeler, is he on the team?
Yep.
If he could go anywhere in the world, he would visit Italy for their great food and culture. That's deep, Nick.
And Nick's just a scrapper, too. He'll rip your face off and eat it.
Yep. So let's see. Let's find one more. Oh, Gustav from Frozen? Olafson?
Young buck, but yeah.
Yeah. He has an 8-month-old French bulldog named Fiona.
Awesome.
So that's
There you
sweet. That's real sweet. Go Wild.
The stadium lady just full of them Timberwolves. The fans of the city go crazy for Timberwolves. So crazy, and you know I'm a die-hard Timberwolves.
So I got the state of the Wolves. Yuck. Ugh. Gross. So
dumpster fire.
few things here. I was surprised that they were 7th in the league in scoring at 112.7. Their 3-point percentage is as bad as it sounds. It's kind of ranked on the average of everybody else, 32.2%. Karl Anthony Towns leads the way with 26.5 averaging points per game. Wiggins, 24.5. Jeff Teague, who will be gone hopefully soon, and so on and so forth. Basically, we're garbage. We're going tonight. I doubt Carl's even playing. I hope we tank. I did do. Well, right now we're in the top 5 for picks. We're garbage.
Yeah.
There's
Hot garbage.
garbage. The Knicks are already leaking stuff that, let's try to go after them. So I wanted to focus on the main need of the Wolves. I think it's going to be tough for them to find a point guard of the future via trade. So I want to break down some guys via draft. And if you guys know anything about these fellas, you chime in. I'm going to go kind of in order of who I like the best. So Cole Anthony, College, North Carolina, is a freshman.
Sure.
Do you know his dad was an NBA player?
I did not know that.
Greg Anthony, host on TNT.
Greg Anthony, former UNLV running rebel.
Ooh, there's a stat
There he
for
is.
you. So some pros for him. He's a good scorer off the dribble, excels at scoring off ball motion plays, which Saunders likes to do. He's a great playmaker. He does need to improve his shooting, his free throw shooting, which for a point guard, I think that's kind of shitty. But anyway, he's highly skilled, could be a top 5 pick, so kind of right where we're sitting right now. LaMelo Ball, who I have next, they talk about him going kind of first overall. He's playing overseas. I like the athleticism and the size. He's skinny. Not a huge fan of the Ball family, but don't get him misconstrued with his brother. He's not his brother. He's a 6'7" point guard. He's a gifted playmaker, good rebounder, great at steals. He's a good athlete. Needs to improve a little bit on his shooting, but he does have a nice, stroke from long range. Biggest thing is strength. They talked about him being a first overall pick. So I'd rather him just go and we get a guy like Cole Anthony. One of my most favorite players, though, is Cassius Winston.
Sure.
We really don't need this huge playmaking Ja Morant type player. We need somebody to run our offense and be able to dish the ball. And Cassius Winston, who's ranked number 30, so he's more of an end of the first round kind of guy. I think that's you trade some assets and get a mid-round pick and pick him up there with another blue chipper maybe in your top 10 of the lottery. But
Yeah.
he's a decent scorer off the dribble, solid playmaker, very good free throw shooter, smart player that has a good feel for the game.
Sure. And I'll chime in on him. I mean, Winston is first, you got the experience, senior, right? Correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that right there, he's been with Izzo for all those years. That's the big highlight. I love that about him. But also, if you've watched him this year, he can take over a game incredibly. You know what I mean? He can be that guy where if somebody's hurt, he can take it over. And especially now, with all the experience he's had from going through the March Madness and just drilling team after team, that's huge. But I love his coach, so that would be awesome. I would love that pick. That'd be huge.
Yeah, if you're going to get a point guard, you might as well get someone who played in college under like a stable coach.
Yep.
I think that does say a lot. I mean, you can't get away from it. The first two guys you mentioned, whether you wanted to or not, you talked about their dads.
Yeah.
Greg Anthony is
Sure.
a Hall of Fame type player. He's one of the best players in the early 90s.
Yep.
And then you got his kid playing. And then you look at LaMelo Ball, probably a great player, probably could be great, but his dad is a joke.
Yeah.
So
I can't stand him.
Or his brothers or anybody.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want him.
No.
I mean, if you're gonna get a guy who's 6'1", 185 like Cassius Winston is, looking at your sheet here, he's undersized. But what does he know how to do? He knows how to think.
Yeah.
You get anyone that played for Izzo, Krzyzewski, Billy Self, any of these guys, they know how to be a coach on the court, and that's what you need.
Exactly. And I don't like drafting young people straight out of college. That always bugs me. They're not ready. They should have to stay longer and a senior.
When we made that trade in the draft last year,
Sure.
I know everybody was talking about Garland and Cleveland swiped us, but then I was going crazy because I wanted Kobe White.
Sure.
All-time leading scorer for North Carolina, beat Michael Jordan's record.
Yep.
So you get a guy who's aged, who's coming from a great program, and he's quick and speedy and got that swag that I like.
Fills
and
a void.
fills a void, and we
Yes.
didn't get him. So I
No.
thought this new regime really would try to do that. They took Culver. We'll see. He's kind of a
Yeah.
yep.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right. It's my job to go over the state of the Minnesota Twins, and little known fact that we have not talked about on this show yet, I am actually a lifelong Minnesota Twins fan.
There it is.
Woo! Well, I've been my whole life, even when I grew up in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
It was great. It took that to get a cheer.
There it is.
There it is.
Growing up, I am a twin, and I thought they named a team after me when I was about 4 or 5 years old. My dad went with it because Kirby Puckett was such an amazing type player.
I guess they're right. Senior citizens, although slow and dangerous behind the wheel, can still serve a purpose.
Yeah.
There you go. Congratulations, Greg.
Senior citizen. Wow.
You get discounts for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the Twins the Twins finished this last season with 101 wins, which was 8 better than the next closest team in their division, Cleveland. And then you go down the list, and whether it's Detroit or Chicago or Kansas City, they're all garbage. Since we're kind of football centric this time of year, the best comparison to the Twins division is the NFC East in football. You got a whole bunch of teams that just beat up on each other, and the team that ends up making the playoffs kind of becomes fodder for, in our case, the Yankees. What I look at when I go online this time of year during free agency isn't who are the Twins picking up, because they're not going to go after the Verlander, the Cole. They're not going to get that $30 million a year pitcher. What they are going to do is they're going to fill in pieces, and they're going to keep players in their farm system. And what really it's kind of funny, because the Twins seasons over the past 20 years depend a lot on the other teams in their division, how their free agents work out.
Sure.
I went on ESPN yesterday just to do it again, and I looked at top free agent, acquisitions, where they think players are going to go. And there were so many players that were projected to go to the Chicago White Sox, the Cleveland Indians, the Detroit Tigers. None of them were listed as the Twins. However, sometimes these players don't work out, and it goes to the Twins' benefit.
Sure.
Yeah, we got Dozier all over the place here.
Yeah, they're multiplying right now.
We're multiple. I wonder what the plural of Dozier is. Is it Doziers? Dozier? Yeah. Okay.
You got Doziered.
We got Doziered. Yes. So the way I think the Twins are going to be a lot like they were last year. I don't think they're going to come out as hot as they did. Where you're breaking records and it's not even the All-Star break yet in mid-July.
Sure.
But I do think that they're going to be a consistent team. I think they're going to win the division again. Once they start reporting, pitchers and catchers start reporting the second week in February, we'll get into more details about it. But right now, I love Rocco as their manager, and I don't think they're ever going to finish below second place in their division.
Sure.
As long as Rocco's their manager.
And I'll chime in now on the Twins. I like your
Breakdown, analysis.
positivity
It's weird.
about how you think.
Isn't it weird?
It's very weird.
He's got a cheesehead shirt on, and he's sitting there,
And I've been to
Rocco.
Twins games with Greg, so that's good. The big thing about it is that we're going to have to go shopping in the clearance racks again this year. And that's kind of what our, farm has shown, is that we can dump money. It's kind of like Moneyball. You guys have seen the movie Moneyball.
Oh, yeah.
You've heard all those
great
stories.
movie.
And it's just how we go shopping in analytics. We go shopping for guys that people don't want to pay as much for. I'm so glad that we didn't go get Bumgarner and overpay for him. And that's what all those people were doing. They were overpaying, except for Cole. He's probably the only one that's worth the money so far.
Don't you want to finally overpay for somebody? It's ridiculous.
I feel like
we
Minnesota
don't do
sports
anything.
always overpays for people. When it comes to the Wild, we overpaid for Preezy. and
Minnesota
Seward.
sports, though,
I
not.
understand. Look at Wiggins, overpaid for Wiggins.
Well, he
you
looked
know
him
what
in the
I mean?
eye.
Look at Mauer, overpaid for Mauer.
You had to overpay for Mauer.
I get that. You had to, right? But that's the thing, is that
Kirk
we
Cousins.
showed.
we didn't overpay.
Craig.
First player ever to get a fully guaranteed contract.
You always
Well
got to
deserved.
ruin it. All right. So
God.
basically showing that, David Price is still out on the market. He's won a Cy Young. He's out there.
Yep.
He's looking to move. You got Chris Archer, who's really weird because he wears like a huge hat because he's got those dreads up all the time. He's out there.
Yeah,
you
like
know,
Chris.
those.
We looked at him last year.
Yep,
Yep.
exactly. And it's just those kind of guys like that. You need to get another starter. We lost Gibson, which is probably beneficial for us because he's not good. But he was always a pitcher just because he was a hometown guy. But yeah, so you go shopping in the clearance bin, you get a couple pitchers, and other than that, you just hope. But I don't see us keeping up with the Joneses in the Central this year.
Except for the fact that I think that the baseball's, and don't get me wrong,
Sure.
I think that Cole deserved his money.
Yeah.
But the best pitcher in baseball, and there's maybe 5 of them
Sure.
that are those top level ace of aces.
Yeah.
The guys
1A.
the guys that you want starting game 1 of World Series. You got 5 guys in the league like that. And the thing is, they in a great year will win you 20 games.
Sure.
Their teams will win maybe 25 of the 30 games they start, 25, 27 of the 30 games they start in an average year.
Yeah.
When you start looking at what the Brewers are doing, what the Twins are doing, what all these other teams are doing, and they're playing 4 or 5 pitchers, and they're doing, pitcher by rotation.
Brewers and Twins.
Well, no, the Brewers were famous for this last year, and they made the
Sure.
playoffs too, where you're playing 5 pitchers in a game.
Yeah.
Because you don't
Yeah.
have that top of the line thing. I think that's where baseball is going to.
The
You need-
openers.
Yes, you
Where
need.
you have instead of closers, you have openers. So
And
you
his
have your
goal-
elite guys. Yeah.
His goal is to try to get through 2.5 innings,
Sure.
to get through the rotation, to get through their lineup once.
Yeah.
And I think baseball's moving into that, which is why I don't think you need these top level starters anymore. That's just my opinion, and that's
Good
why.
take.
And that's why I
Good
think
take.
that the Twins are actually going to be better this year because they don't have that.
Sure.
They can spread their money out.
Well, opening day is what? 90, 80 some days away?
Yeah,
Something
end
like
of
that.
March.
Yeah.
So speaking of the Twins, Fan HQ has hooked us up with a giveaway, a signed Luis Arraez baseball. You got to text TWIST to 94253. TWIST to 94253. You'll have until Thursday. We're going to pick a winner next Friday, call them live from the show Saturday, and you can pick it up at Fan HQ in Edina. Lots of sports memorabilia. Picked up this hoodie from there. So sports clothes, just a great place. So nice partnership that hopefully if this first one goes well, we'll keep it going and
Maybe we'll get some cheese heads being sold in there.
Yep.
We'll see about that, Greg.
We will not see about that. I will not allow that.
Lately, I've been drifting aimlessly.
Well, we're not going to be channel surfing tonight because we're going to be couch surfing in the suite at the Wolves game. But if you are, what can we tune into?
Well, obviously, I would suggest that game, but there is so much on tonight. You've got college hockey to watch if you want to get into that. The Gophers play against the Bemidji State Beavers. The Beavers. That's on at 7. You also got both of the bowl games for the college football playoff are on tonight. I know if I was sitting at home, I'd probably be watching that. So that's my takes. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see how you don't watch LSU, Ohio State. Oh, watching Burrow come back and play against his own team, team.
Well, thanks for another episode. Thanks for sharing, liking, continue to do it. Text TWIST to 94253 for your chance to win. We'll see you next week.